Hey viewers, today social media sleuths from the AskWomen community take the spotlight as they share some of their wildest discoveries while stalking someone online. Let's dive right in. Kind significance is 6OP. Women who enjoy doing some social media stalking, the FBI agents of the friend group perhaps. What's the craziest thing you found out?
I found out that a dude my friend had been dating was actually in prison, and the guy she had been going on dates with was his twin brother pretending to be him because the brother in prison matched with her on Tinder and went on a couple of dates with her before he went in. He asked his twin to keep up with her and date her so that when he got out, he could pick up where his brother left off. Also, I found out the twin brother was married and never told his wife of the situation, so my friend was his side piece while also having zero knowledge that she was because he was impersonating his brother, and friend had zero idea the twin even existed. Shit was insane.
A friend's bad Bumble date, who wouldn't stop harassing her when she said he couldn't come over, was going on trial for rape and kidnapping estate over later that year.
I found out a man I was dating was married. He swore that he was single. Sad to say, a surface social media check, it looked like he was single, but I had a hunch and went deeper. I dropped that fool like a hot potato. It pays to be a snooper and thorough.
Crazy stuff off the bat. Who knows? Doing a little online digging could save people from both possibly dangerous people and drama. Let's continue.
This is excruciatingly nerdy and surprisingly mundane. But I had a Facebook friend from high school who linked to an article from a popular gaming website. The author of the article was rather notorious in gaming circles for having been involved in Gamergate. The article itself was about the author playing a particular game in co-op with a friend. The way my friend linked the article on FB, she included a comment that implied she knew the author personally. I became convinced that they were dating. I started following his Twitter and cross-checking it with her Facebook posts to see if they talked about one another. Sure enough, there eventually came a day that he tweeted a joke about his girlfriend playing a particular video game, and she made a Facebook post that very same day about her boyfriend teasing her about playing that video game and how he made that exact same joke, and lo and behold, I was totally vindicated. I also once found a coworker's mugshot from when he got a DUI.
That's actually kind of crazy. Why did you care if they were dating?
Gamergate back then was a much bigger deal than it is now. So it was a bit like discovering your friend was dating a minor celebrity. With that said, I cared much more about being right than I did that they were dating each other, if that makes sense, lol. Like, I read the Facebook post and was like, it really sounds like they're actually talking about each other. And then was just curious if I could find proof of whether my hunch was right. And the challenge was in finding the proof. I'm very much a rabbit hole sort of person, where figuring out the answer is often more interesting than the answer itself.
How many people have racist, how neo-Nazi, how sexist, how homophobic views? Thanks for putting that nonsense on Facebook. I will be blocking you and freezing you out of my life. I used to work with a guy who is a biracial neo-Nazi. How does that work? Does your black mom know you are a Nazi?
Membership in white supremacy groups that are known to be violent and have been raided by law enforcement for a college professor teaching philosophy.
A guy I was about to meet off of a dating app had a child with his cousin.
Sticky. We've got some wild discoveries here. Being a social media sleuth sure pays off, whether for self-satisfaction or to validate your gut feeling. Moving on.
My friend had his credit card information stolen and got some contact information from the companies it was used at, redacting a lot of information. I popped the phone number and email address. It was named 98 Saw. Into my contacts and searched social media with it. And I got a TikTok handle which has no videos. I found a similar handle on Instagram for a woman named Bree, fake name, who is engaged to a man named Sean, fake name, out of state. And he is 25 years old, which matches with the age, if we assumed, based on the email address, the user is born in 1998. This Bri left high school in 2017, which would also place her around the 25-year-old timeframe, fitting the 1998. They got engaged on date and may have been traveling for the holidays lining up with card usage, but I can't confirm due to privacy settings. She did post a professional Christmas photo shoot on 2 weeks prior to previous date, which could have been taken sooner. 1 2-week tat for photographers to get edited pictures out places the photo shoot. To match up with a stolen card receipt date, nail appointment, but no evidence to truly line it up. They live in city and state, about 2.5 hours from the nail shop. He just bought a new car in month, a make and model, and he coaches a kids' basketball group called Redacted. His background search shows he lives with his mother, Sean's mom. But under her profile, a government watch list is popped up for alias name. She's prohibited from receiving federal contracts, certain subcontracts, and federal financial and non-financial assistance and benefits, which likely makes her high risk for fraudulent banking activity. When I search that name on his Facebook friends list, I don't get an exact hit, but I do get a lot of people for the last name, mom last name. Which makes me wonder if this is a name changed from alias to mom, and her last name is a hyphenated pick and choose. Continued to identify multiple bankruptcies under this mom and possible fake business scams. But I can't prove she's the one who stole his card information to pass on to the son and his fiancée. It's all speculative.
There's gotta be a way you can monetize this skill. I feel like this is your calling.
I've looked up lots of people, mostly men. It's not stalkerish or weird IMO. It's all stuff you can find that's public info. Check sex offender registry, local court docs, can see any type of charges they've had, speeding, drugs, DWI, assault, DV, theft, etc. Also, if they've been married, divorced, any child support issues, etc. I've met people that seemed rather normal, but after a couple searches, I found stuff that made me nope. I'm thankful to have the free public resources because as a woman, you have to be careful. ETA. Not a romantic interest, but someone I met in a business passing who gave me the worst ick vibes. Did not look him up at the time, but in looking up someone else found the business acquaintance guy on the sex offender registry for convicted rape. I knew my gut was right when I felt off around this person.
FBI, take notes. Looks like we've got a potential recruits here. Off to the next comments.
My friend found out that shortly after I got away from my abusive ex, he was engaged, and another baby was on the way. He hardly waited a moment and never told me about it. She seemed like such a sweet woman. I was scared for her, but for my own safety, and because I was in a horrible place with PTSD caused by him, I kept well away. Then my friend also found out the new woman ended up in a mental hospital and lost custody of the infant. I am very sure he broke her psychologically, as he was trying to break me. He just refined his methods and she didn't have the support network I did. She's since been seen in town a lot with the child, as he couldn't handle the childcare aspect because he has absolutely no empathy. My ex is now married again. He's been with at least 4 different women since me. Let's see how long he can keep the mask on for this one before he reveals his true cruel nature. She looks like she's got a strong family and friend network. Also, he's become a fan of fake tan and looks a bit silly. That's a bonus.
This one is wild. I have a coworker who is a super sleuth online. I asked her to prove it by attempting to find anything on my brother. I had only found basic information, nothing really. He has been NC from the entire family for 12+ years. After our mom died, he took his money and ran, so to speak. We had heard bits of information. He's had several kids by different people, and walked out on most of them and disappeared. He's not a good person and has drug issues. We know what state he's in and the general area. After I gave my coworker his name and state, it took less than a minute for her to pull up a news article with a mugshot from a major U.S. paper. He had been convicted of CP.
I don't do this, but had the random thought to look up my grocery store manager. Turns out that he raped women as a bailiff in a nearby city.
Found out a friend from high school is photoshopping her entire life. She is from Eastern Europe. And last I knew, she married a guy and they moved to Bulgaria. But on her Facebook page, she said she lives between Los Angeles and London. She had photos of her and her children celebrating Halloween and 4th of July, traveling every other weekend to San Francisco or NY, talking about the US health system and life in the US. She arranged entire photo shoots with her children, holding American flags, and children's books about elections in the US or Thanksgiving. Turns out she never even set foot in the US. She lives in a small town in the UK.
These social media sleuths either find the most disturbing or bizarre discoveries. They sure navigate the digital landscape like seasoned detectives. Let's hear more of their findings.
My ex was talking all about Jan 6, weeks before it happened.
When all the idiot MAGA traitors tried to overthrow the Capitol building to stop the certifying of the election.
When I was on holiday in Ireland, at Wales with my mom and dad at 17 years old, the owner of one of the inns we were staying at flirted with me a lot. He was 30-something, I think. But as a very insecure teenager, I loved it. We kept in touch and he sent me nudes. I never sent any nudes back, but I loved the attention. A few years later, my mum and dad were talking about that vacation, and then about that guy specifically. They never knew about the nudes, but they knew we kept in touch for a year or so. They asked me if I still talked to him, and I said no, but let me Google his name to see what he has been up to. Found an article about an inn owner who participated in the UK bed and breakfast television programme who went to jail for seducing a 15-year-old girl in his inn. Clicked on it. It was him.
Found out the guy my friend was seeing lied about going to college and was still in high school. We were seniors in college.
I found out a developmentally delayed coworker of mine had been a biochem major in college before she was run over by a truck on her bike on her way to class and had to be airlifted and have multiple surgeries to save her life. Obviously, she was never the same. I took a break from looking people up after that. Too sad.
Not even social media stalking. This was a complete accident. My male best mate and I were messaging each other on our laptops a good 10-15 hours ago. He was messing about photoshopping dicks or whatever onto photos of famous people. He's weird, but he's my weird. And he sent me a link to the site he was using for his dicks. It was something like ratemidic.com. Really skeezy, cheap, circa 1999 style website. Anyway, I think he wanted to Photoshop breasts from the sister website, and he was just flicking through when he goes, "Isn't this one of your friends?" I'm like, "What are you on about?" And he sends me the link. It is indeed one of my friends, my flatmate to be exact, but it's the holidays, so none of us are at uni. Also, she is not the type to pose topless online like she had body issues, was super quiet and almost embarrassed by how she looked. I don't know, she would probably describe herself as mousy, I would say English Rose. Also, the photos were recent, which meant her current partner had taken them. He was a bit of a creep, constantly pushing her to use sex toys and telling her that enjoying comedies like Adam Sandler ones would make others think she's stupid. Whilst he likely pushed her to pose for photos, there is no way she agreed to them being posted online. Anyway, whilst she is a friend and flatmate, I'm not a super close one. Her best friend was my other flatmate, whom she told everything to. I figure there's every chance they've spoken about the photos, and it would be easier and nicer to break the news about how the world can see her naked if the news came from her best friend. So I ring my other flatmate. She's in agreement that the photos were posted without her knowledge. Then she calls my other flatmate. She came back to uni after the holidays, minus a creepy boyfriend. The three of us never said a word to our shared friend group, and my best friend has always kept quiet about it.
That the single man I was seeing had a partner the entire time. Another time, the guy I was dating had a Tinder and was hooking up with random women.
It's both sad and amazing what you can uncover with a keen eye and a few clicks, whether it was intended or accidental. Off to the last bit.
Me and my mom found out that the man my grandma married on a brim, who's 17 years younger than her and without a job living off of social welfare, had an article written about him in a local newspaper in his home country, warning about him because he has had female intimate partners. It was in the time when he was already together with my grandma, that he took intimate photos of without their knowledge, blackmailed them, and when they wouldn't comply with giving him money, sent these photos to all their male relatives.
Oh no, were you able to convince her?
Nope. Grandma is still married to him and sold her house to finance a better lifestyle for herself and that man. And every one of our extended family likes that guy, even though they know what he did. Me and Mom don't have a lot of contact with them.
Several years ago, I found a video of a mother abusing her daughter, basically whipping her with a belt, cornering her, yelling, and having the younger sister record it. It was awful. It was a screen recording of the actual video, so I had no screen name or other information aside from the girl's name that the mother was screaming. It was a very unique name. Long story short, I was able to find her social media, her mother's social media, etc. I contacted both girls' schools, child welfare services, as well as the local police, and sent them the video. I was in contact with the police for a little bit, and I recall the mother getting arrested and charged. I don't know what happened after, but I hope that little girl is doing well.
Found out a guy I was dating was married, separated and divorcing, but still entirely unmentioned, and that his 2 young nephews he often spent weekends with were actually his children.
Realizing my friend's new boyfriend was a guy who was in the news at my college for attempting to stab both himself and his ex when she dumped him for cheating. It was years later, and the guys in our friend group were mad at me for digging up the past because they were friends with said dude.
Our exploration of the digital world has been quite the journey. Whether you're delving into the depths of social media or decoding real-life puzzles, a sharp eye and a curious mind can lead to the truth. It might even save you or other people from both harm and drama. Do you have a similar discovery while online stalking? Share it with us in the comments.